Now that we have load cases, load combos, and load patterns in our model, we're finally ready to add section cuts and run an interesting analysis on our model. Let's go for it then. Let's create the new Add Section Cuts function. This function will receive the number of stories in our model, the story heights, and the total X and Y model lengths. Next, we'll need a story index variable to cycle stories, a model tolerance variable, and some X, Y, and Z arrays for coordinates. We'll set the tolerance, as usual, to 1 centimeter. Then, we'll set the X and Y coordinates similarly to what we did with the floor slabs. We want to define the section cut plane in a way that the normal vector points upward so that we can catch the reactions for the story. We'll add section cuts to the top and bottom of each story, right above and below each floor slab. We'll first do the bottom section cut, then the top. We'll start the Z coordinates slightly above 0 with our tolerance. Then, we'll cycle for each story and add the bottom section cuts on all stories. To add a section cut, we need to use the SetByQuad function that we'll find in Functions, Definitions, and Section Cuts. This function is quite simple. It's very similar to what we used to add the floor slabs. The only real thing of note is the myType parameter, which specifies the type of section cut we're adding. For our purposes, we'll always input a value of 1 since we're only interested in adding analysis-type section cuts. Let's then call our function to add section cuts. We'll make a custom name for each one by inputting story and an underscore. Then, we'll use an ampersand to append the story index to it. Then, we'll append another underscore and a bottom to indicate that this is the section cut at the bottom of the floor. VBA will automatically convert our integer into a string to be appended. Let's just quickly increment our Z coordinate for the next floor. Now that we have that all set up for the bottom section cuts of all floors, let's just copy our code and add section cuts at the top of each floor. The starting height will now be slightly below the next story's floor slab, so we'll start it off with the height of the lowest floor, minus our tolerance so it sits just below the slab. We'll cycle from the second floor up to the last one and change the name of the section cut to bottom, and we're done on this front. We'll call our section cut function from the main application function and test it out as usual. We'll go to the Section Cuts menu, and here we can see all our section cuts were added. We can also verify that they are at the correct heights of our stories. Now that we have all these relevant analysis elements added to our model, let's quickly add a new button with a macro to run an analysis of our model. We'll simply call this function RunAnalysis. We'll put it in the main application module since it will work independently of our template creating function. We'll need the usual things for handling SAP 2000 instances, so a return variable, helper, and a SAP 2000 object. We'll attach ourselves to a running SAP 2000 instance, and we'll simply call the RunAnalysis function that we can find in the Analyze object of the SAP 2000 model. There's a small detail to be noted here. We won't be able to run an analysis if the model in our current SAP 2000 object is not saved to a file. This is why one of the first things we did when we set up the main function was to prepare a folder for our model file to be saved to. Okay, let's just add a confirmation message with a check to see if everything went okay. Let's finally run our analysis. It seems like it all went smoothly. Obviously, we can check by verifying that our model is now locked in the SAP 2000 interface by checking the lock symbol in our top ribbon. Now that we have all elements relating to the analysis of our model correctly inserted and the means to run an analysis on it as well, The next section of our course will be a brief look at an easy, though somewhat exhausting way to obtain the results of any analysis and how to quickly export them to Excel.